Good evening. Welcome. Young Jerks, Mike Crawford, pack show, lots to get to. We have two great guests. I got a house full of dogs. You might hear some barking tonight. I might have to step aside a few times. Got more dogs than I'd like. Usually we're trying to cut back on the number of dogs we take in over here, but an emergency happened. So we got an extra dog here, and there may be a little barking. So just to give you the heads up, if I step aside, but we get some great guests. We got the three amigos, the three M's, Mark, Mazza, and me, Mike. Let's do it. Mazza Media.
What's going on?
Attorney
Did you get
Mark
pizza for
Bederow.
all the dogs?
Yes, I've gone to the dogs tonight.
Yeah. Did you get pizza for them? Nice little pizza party over there.
No pizza. They've already been fed. They've been fed. The two down here have been fed. My girlfriend's upstairs with another dog, feeding that dog. So there's like a emergency helping an elderly customer who is in the hospital. So taking care of her dog.
Wow.
So that's what's going on over here. And then she's got to go because she's doing another dog sit. So you see, we have many houses we're covering tonight. That's the life of a dog walker.
We love dogs. Dogs can do no wrong. Yeah.
You got to love them. You got to take care of them. I love dogs. But you guys, there's so much going on. Jurors, there's stuff with bleach. There's all kinds of stuff. What do you want to start with? Let's start with Attorney Bederow, I guess.
Well, I don't know anything about bleach, but I'm aware that we're now up to 5 jurors who have apparently said not guilty on the majority of counts. And that's kind of a big deal. So to me, that's the biggest issue. I'm also aware of the juror who claims they're being harassed and concerned. I don't know what to make of that, frankly. I don't think that's that big a deal. But, to me, the big story is that there are now at least minimum 5 jurors who say we've acquitted on 2 of 3 counts. And the latest juror actually said we are hung on lesser counts, suggesting that they've actually acquitted on all of the indicted counts, which I think is quite amazing.
Excellent. I mean, that's good news. No, there's another part of it with the juror you meant with the harassment. That's kind of a big and touchy story right now for a lot of reasons. And I even posted something like criticizing the language in that. And I'm regretful. I actually took it down because I felt like it might have been too much. And I think we all need to be a little careful on that stuff. But it just, I don't know. It just, to read that stuff, it felt like
it was too much. It was over the top. It was over the top.
And if you start digging into it, it seems kind of actually like very suspect. Like they quote somebody, right? I'll give you an example. They quoted someone in there from Twitter that died in May.
Right.
So how are they finding old tweets from May, a juror? That just seemed, and a lot of it seemed like McAlbert like, but I want to be careful though too, because at the same time I don't want
to be careful because it's coming from a juror with a lawyer, but they're citing tweets of dead people. The other citations are related to a tweet from a non-original source of somebody who is well-spoken as hating Karen Reed. So how do you take it? To me, as I said yesterday somewhere else, it is somewhat suspect, although you can't dismiss a juror's legitimate concern about being harassed, but it did seem over the top. I mean, somehow concluding that there's no question I'm going to be physically harassed. I don't believe that. There's no reason to believe that. Why did they hire a lawyer? I don't know. I don't know that I put too much stock in it, but it does feel a little histrionic, hyperbolic, over the top. It does. But
I, if that juror is actually listening, because there's a chance they could be listening,
maybe.
I just want to say to them, I kind of understand where they're coming from because I've been harassed. I do.
But
at the same time, I feel like they need to not be so fearful, because there's like 1,000 people that are ahead of them that like as targets in this stuff. Like, they talked about the blogger. He gets harassed more than anyone. Like, so there's that. Like, I really think that they shouldn't be so fearful. I understand why they are. I totally get it, because we've all felt it. I mean, you've even got some harassment, haven't you, Attorney Bederow? In a
All
weird
the
way.
time. I mean, I got a weirdo phone call yesterday from some lunatic who, of course, calls from an anonymous number and says, you're opining on this. I'm watching you on this podcast, and what do you know, and this and that, and ranting and raving. But whatever. I mean, to me, I just shrug it off as lunatics. It is what it is, and it doesn't mean much to me. I mean, in this world, when you do this for a living, it's like Hyman Roth said, this is the business you've chosen. It's you get weirdos who come after you. So a juror doesn't sign up for that. It's a little different. I get it. But the problem I have with what happened yesterday is that affidavit, which by the way is prepared by a lawyer, lawyers prepare affidavits and then clients sign it. The clients don't write the affidavits. So it's really coming from a lawyer, but it's very over the top. It's very hyperbolic. It's very, there's no question I'm going to be physically assaulted. That's too much. By whom? Who's assaulting you? By people in pink shirts? That's not going to happen.
It's not. It's not going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen. It's clearly not. I don't mind a juror hiring a lawyer saying, I'm nervous that I'm going to be harassed, I'm going to be contacted, but you have to be credible. And I think that the affidavit that was submitted in the memo of law and support thereof was a little over the top.
But hopefully all these jurors will get to speak their piece in the court. Like, that's what I'm hoping for.
Well, hopefully, and not for nothing, what you didn't see in the affidavit yesterday was, by the way, I'm aware of what's going on and I deny what other jurors have been saying. You didn't see that, which is very interesting, because this affidavit that you saw yesterday was somebody who clearly loves to watch the media, right? So clearly this juror would be aware of what's going on with the other jurors who have submitted not affidavits, but have contacted lawyers who have submitted affidavits, and they did not dispute any of that. So you're still at a position where there have been 5 affidavits, or that's not true, 5 statements from the lawyers claiming that 5 jurors have now said that we acquitted on 2 of 3 counts, and no statements contradicting that. That's a lot. That's not something you ever see. And the more you see that, the more you ask yourself, how do you just ignore that?
And I just want to say too about the jury thing. I think for the jurors and just for everybody, nobody should harass jurors. Like, there's no following them around. There's not, like, none of that should be going on. And I think for the jurors, they should know, I know free Karen Reed people, they're not going to do that. Like, and if someone did that at this point, I think it would get called out majorly, because they've even seen people in their own ranks go rogue and get crazy. And people have had enough of that. Like, people, I think, in the free Karen Reed movement don't support that stuff. They don't want to see anything bad happen to jurors. And I just feel like the jurors should know that. Like, I feel like they're going to be okay. Like, I feel like the public is going to support them, no matter if you're just the general public or if you're free Karen Reed. Mazza Media, you must have something to say on that too, I bet.
Yeah, I just I think that's exactly well said by you. I think that all of us, I don't think there's any one of us out there that wants to ever confront a juror for in any way, shape, or form, ever do something like that at all. There's just no way. A lot of times you'll see people on the other side sensationalize. There's been a few people, one guy that runs a particular show, and another guy out there that just continuously say that people on our side are following jurors home. That's just not true. I think all of us at this point are exactly what you just said moments ago, is that we're rooting for the jurors to basically come out and say, hey, guess what? We voted not guilty on counts 1 and 2. And I think that's exactly where we're at right now. And I just quite frankly think that it's false that they're trying anything that's being said about us, because I'm seeing these rumors online. It's the same old players, the same old characters all the time out there saying it about us. Oh, people in the Free Karen Reed movement. They were saying it during the trial, for goodness sakes, that people were following jurors home that were Free Karen Reed people. And I've been there a few times, and I see no activity of the sort from our side whatsoever.
Mark, do you have anything to say on it?
Only it doesn't make any sense. I mean, so a woman charged with murder and other charges is presumably hung, okay, or worse, or possibly acquitted. We don't know. That's kind of the issue. But why would people who support a woman charged with murder, who was, awarded a hung jury, somehow run around with pitchforks, chasing jurors, threatening jurors, and harm them? That makes zero sense. It just doesn't fit. The kinds of people who presumably might harm jurors are when a jury acquits somebody charged with a heinous crime, murdering babies, that kind of thing, where the evidence is overwhelming and they're somehow seemingly let off and people want to get pissed off and chase down the jurors. There's no reason for that for the Karen Reed people. And if you look at what you've seen online, what have they said? We'll come back for a retrial. We'll protest wherever we need to protest. We'll say whatever we need to say. That's not consistent with somebody who's going to chase down and harm people. So
yeah,
I
think the only ones, honestly, that would be chasing down the jurors are the media people who want the exclusive interview, who want the information, like us. Like, I would love to get a phone call from a juror, even if it's not on the show, behind the scenes, just to check in with them, to get info, like anyone would who's covering this story. I think that's the only ones I could see really.
Well, that's right. But the problem with what you saw yesterday is it's totally reasonable for a juror to say, I'm concerned about, I don't want to be contacted. I don't want to be called. I don't want to be called stupid. I don't want to be criticized. All that's fine. But the affidavit that you saw yesterday said, oh my God, I'm going to be assaulted. I'm going to be attacked. That's ridiculous. I'm sorry. Okay. I respect the rights of jurors more than anyone, but to see an affidavit submitted by a lawyer yesterday saying that my client, the juror, is afraid of being physically attacked, doesn't make sense to me. That's crazy. I think that's way too much. This is just, as happens every day in American jurisprudence, a very hot potato trial. People have strong opinions of both sides. Jurors reach decisions. They get contacted by the press or not, and life goes on. It doesn't translate to jurors getting beat up. And I would ask you, when is the last time you've ever read any story in the media in the last year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years of a juror getting physically assaulted because of a verdict? And the idea that it would happen because of the Karen Reed case, give me a break.
Yeah, I remember someone got assaulted outside Norfolk County recently, like in the last year or two. It was a former state police officer, a young man, I believe, died at their home party in a pool. It was an accident. It is an unfortunate thing. I feel bad for all parties. But like one of the relatives socked the guy because he got a light sentence. And I don't even think the sentence was that light, actually, considering I think he got what everyone else would have gotten actually in that case. But the anger, that's the only type of violence I've ever heard of outside of a court like that is not to jurors. And I think
I know that case because it was discussed the other night on Aiden's channel.
There you go.
And the reality is, and he was mentioning it because there was a guy, the kid went to the party, he drowned, whatever, and the kid's brother came over and beat up someone at the house, and he was not charged with witness harassment.
That was right outside the court, actually.
That's right. But I mean, that was
in the street.
Now, obviously, you have great sympathy for that kid and his family.
Right.
He was not charged with witness intimidation, where Aiden's point was, "Why am I?" And I got to tell you, he made a pretty strong point.
He definitely did.
Right. I mean, it was a very compelling argument, but that has nothing to do with juror intimidation. And I'm unaware, as I said. If somebody can correct me, I'll accept.
No, I've never heard it either. I mean, it would be news, especially like in Massachusetts. I never heard anything like that. But I think the reality is what we're saying. That's the reality for the jurors. But at the same time, I can understand why some of them might think differently and be scared because of the way that Judge Canoni kind of handled this whole thing. I think she put fear into them. And look at some of the stuff that has happened. I mean, there was a dead turtle left at Aiden's house. There's been some other crazy stuff going on with harassment prevention orders and assaults, and so there has been stuff happening. But I think the jurors at the same time have to realize reality that like they're okay. Nobody's coming after them.
My criticism is I totally understand the juror saying, "I don't want my name out there. I
Yeah.
don't want to be contacted by reporters." I get it. Now that doesn't mean you're right, that you have a legal right to that. My problem is that they submit an affidavit saying it's virtually guaranteed I'm going to get beat up.
Yeah, that's just not right. No,
That's
not reality.
It's not just that it's not reality. That's not credible.
Exactly.
That's bullshit. Okay. And when you look at what was submitted yesterday, from a lawyer's perspective, a client comes to you and says, "I don't want to be outed as a juror." So clearly the goal of the exercise for the client is keep me under the radar, keep it quiet, right? And then you see the papers that are filed are anything but that. Those papers are sensational. They're coming after Turtle Boy. They're attacking other people. They're attacking Jessica. I think you saw other people. That's the exact opposite of quiet. Okay? So you have to ask yourself, what are they doing? What lawyer is filing a set of papers on behalf of a client who wants to hide in the weeds, making sensational allegations and publicly filing those, knowing that that's going to be a huge story and draw attention? That makes me wonder about the lawyer, frankly.
Are we going to be able to find out who those lawyers are? No? Yes?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who it is. It's some lawyer in Worcester. I mean, they weren't hiding their names. They may be very well be a real
Did I
lawyer.
not see that? I want to see that actually. I'm going to look at those
Yeah, it
docs
came
again.
out. Yeah, I don't have the article
Yeah,
for you,
I mean,
unfortunately. Yeah.
And for all I know, the lawyer may be a real lawyer. I don't know. I don't know who this person is. It's interesting that they're in Worcester, which I know is like Turtle Boy country.
That's right. Yeah.
And what's the problem is the papers they submitted are really aggressive against him while claiming on both sides. But it's very passive aggressive, if you will.
It's interesting too. They have Worcester lawyer and you're in Norfolk County.
It's a little weird. I agree.
Hmm.
They also came after Jessica, calling her a New Bedford reporter for somebody who writes for something called the Fall River Reporter. And one of the things we talked about yesterday on another channel was not to get too local, but we can because we're all massholes, I think. You guys understand this. Somebody from
Yes.
Fall River would never be identified from New Bedford and vice versa. That is like, those are fighting words. Okay. No one from Fall River is ever going to say I'm from New Bedford and vice versa. This person said an apparent reporter from New Bedford who writes for the Fall River Reporter, but the lawyer is from Massachusetts, so they understand all this.
That's wild. I didn't even pick that part up. That is truly wild, Mark.
Like needling, digging, trying to create trouble. It all sounds like nonsense to me. Look,
and how do they know that about Jessica? They know that, like, I didn't even like. It's so funny. to know
I
that
don't
much
know.
information about her.
I don't know why they threw her. Look, I've never met her. I've never spoken to her in my life. I'm certainly aware that she's become a personality in this whole Karen Reed thing. But, I don't know why they would throw her into this in their filing papers. That just seems like a shot out of left field for no reason.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me. And we can all understand why a juror does not want to be outed. I get it. Nobody wants to be outed. But I don't think the papers that were submitted yesterday were credible. I don't.
Interesting. I thought I was going to be I don't know. It's funny. You're more aggressive on this, Mark, than I am.
Loving it. I'm enjoying it.
Let me be clear. I have great sympathy for any juror on a case who says, I don't want to be part of this. I know it's a high profile case. I don't want them coming after me. I don't want them attacking me. I get all that. That's all fine.
I agree with all that. Right.
So do I. But how it translates to, oh my God, Judge, if you don't grant this ruling, I'm going to get the shit kicked out of me. That's not true. And
The Cobra Kai are coming for me.
Oh my God, there's a crazy blogger running around who's gonna, but I'm not biased. It's not just him, but I'm gonna spend half my time talking about him and Jessica. Something is off. And then they cite the sources for their articles. They cite Julie Carpenter. Okay. Now, the joke I made yesterday was,
Oh man.
I invite all of you to click on that link, and probably half of you are going to be blocked.
I'm
because
blocked.
of who she
I
is.
can't read it.
Oh my.
Bye, Julie.
Yeah.
Okay.
I blocked her a couple months ago myself before she
Absolutely.
blocked
I
me.
did. I block them
You,
back.
as you
Yeah.
should. But
Yeah.
the point is, why would you cite that nonsense instead of the original source? Why would a lawyer do that? That makes no sense.
Do you think that this? Do you think it's possible this
earlier,
juror is a McAlbert by any chance? Is that possible, considering how outrageous this is?
I don't think so.
Sorry to ask you to speculate on that.
I don't know, but they're citing Julie Carpenter, and they're citing all this stuff. Why wouldn't they cite the original source? What lawyer? Again, the lawyer, you have to understand these affidavits that are signed by clients, they're written by lawyers. Okay. 100% of these affidavits are prepared by people like me. So the lawyer is citing Julie Carpenter and Mike, as you said earlier, someone who apparently passed away months ago.
May.
And they're claiming they just saw this now.
On Twitter.
That's not credible.
Yeah. Which thinks, I mean, it's
not
possible if she had a really viral post, but I doubt it. Like in May, Twitter things don't last.
I never even heard of this person. And obviously if she passed away, I feel sorry. I don't, I respect that, and I don't want to be rude, but I never heard of that person. I never heard of their account. And if they passed away in May was during trial. The juror ostensibly was not looking at media for all of April, all of May, all of June until the mistrial, and looking now. And they came across that. That's bullshit. That's not true. So what's going on here?
I wonder what's going to happen on Monday, 2 p.m.
Yeah. A lot.
I mean, how many affidavits do we have now? It's like, or how many? Is it 5 or 6? What is it?
My understanding is you have 5. Well, let's be clear. You have, according to the lawyers for Karen Reed, who I fully credit, by the way. All right. These are credible lawyers who I have great respect for. They're not lying. Real lawyers don't submit false affidavits. You can hate them. You can criticize them. If you're trolls, they're not lying. Okay. So let's call it this way. At least 5 jurors have come forward saying unanimous acquittals on counts 1 and 3. according to Aiden, another juror has come forward without an affidavit, the foreperson, which would make it half the jury, literally, has come forward saying we acquitted on these counts, which is unheard of. I've never seen anything like this.
Hopefully Bev hears that. I mean, she's got to hear it. Well, I mean, we will see. I got my dentist appointment at 2:45 on Monday for my implants. I put it off before. I'm not putting it off. Will the hearing be over by 2:45, or will it still be going on when I go in there? What do you
I
think?
think it'll be over. I don't think she gives a damn about any of this. I'm being honest. Now she should.
I agree.
I don't think she gives a flying rat's you know what about any of this.
I agree.
I think she's going to fall back on, it's not credible proof. It's not this, which I think would be a huge mistake. There's no harm in fleshing this out, but based on everything we've seen about her in the past, I don't think she's going to give this much consideration at all. Now, I hope I'm wrong, and if I am wrong, I wouldn't be stunned because it's the right thing to do. The correct thing to do is to say, let's play this out and see where it leads. It doesn't mean she has to make a ruling in advance, but I don't know how you ignore the fact that half a jury has already come forward in the span of 2.5 weeks and said, Judge, we acquitted. What are you doing?
Well, that's kind of like Auntie Bev, though. She ignores the facts.
I hate to say I'm so cynical, but I agree with you on this. I think she's going to say that this is not in the proper form. But the easy thing to do is say, let's take evidence. Let's get affidavits from jurors. Let's take testimony. Let's hear what they say. I think that's what most sane judges would do because they're more concerned about substance over form. But I'm not sure she is.
Yeah, that's my concern too. It's been my concern is that, anytime the defense makes any kind of relative sense and talks about things within the letter of the law and how things are usually done in the court of law, she just usually just brushes it off. And that's what I'm anticipating seeing Monday is just, blah, 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 this, whatever. And the defense is just going to be frustrated. Then the defense is going to cite the law about 9 times. We've seen this with Tim Bradel, same thing. He cites what the law is. He goes through the whole thing, and then they just sit there and they're totally negligent about it. It's quite frankly sickening to watch. And even when I hear from you, Mark, you're a lawyer, you have endless experience in this, and you're sitting there scratching your head like this is so outrageous. That speaks volumes as far as I'm concerned.
Any judge who is presented with affirmations from credible lawyers after affirmation after affirmation with everything you've seen, where at a minimum half the jury apparently is saying we got schnookered, to just ignore that and say, well, I don't care, it's not in the right form. I think that's disgraceful. I mean, if you're a judge, how do you sleep at night knowing that you're not even going to address that when it may very well be that the jury acquitted Karen Reed on, 2 of these 3 counts. And there's no harm in exploring this further. You could still make the waiver argument. You could still rule against them. Why wouldn't you hear the evidence? Why wouldn't you take it, hear it, render an opinion? Chips fall where they fall. Let's hear let's hear 12 out of 12 jurors. What do they say? And if your attitude is, I don't want to do that, I don't care, that's really disturbing to me because you're not talking about a small thing. You're talking about the potential of a retrial on an acquitted defendant, which is the most un-American thing imaginable in the criminal law. Okay? One of the things that separates America from the third world, amongst other things, is if you get tried and acquitted, you don't get tried again, period. That's like the way it is. Now, what happened in the Nazi regime, maybe they did it, or Stalinist Soviet Union, maybe they did it. But in America, In 2024, you don't do that. And there's no harm in exploring that issue to see what happened. And if you don't even want to hear that as a judge, you have no judicial soul.
Yeah.
Let's hope that she lets. I mean, she doesn't have to hear it right on the spot tomorrow. Hopefully, she can set a hearing for a future date, right? On it.
She doesn't have to rule on the 22nd. Look,
Right.
If I were the judge on the 22nd, in fact, I wouldn't rule. I would say very simply, there are serious allegations. Let's take some evidence and come back in a month and see where we are. That's fine. Don't forget, the defendant, in this case, Karen Reed, is not in jail. There's less pressure in that regard about moving this along. Not that you want to delay it, but be smart. Don't just be reactive. You don't have to say, I hate Jackson and Yannetti, and these are scumbag affidavits, and I don't want to listen to this. That's stupid. They're making really serious allegations, okay? And not only that, no juror yet has come forward and said, I disagree with what Jackson and Yannetti are saying.
Huge point.
The juror yesterday who was like, I'm scared, did not say, yeah, but by the way, just so you know, I don't agree with what the lawyers are saying. Now, this is a juror and a lawyer who are following everything, right? They know what's going on. They didn't address this issue. That's very telling because they went out of their way to say, I'm scared on this. And if you were making the argument that I'm scared of getting attacked, if you were a juror who said, you know what, they're all saying we agreed to an acquittal, but I didn't. And I'm afraid that if I get outed as the acquittal juror, they're going to come after me. Wouldn't you make that argument as part of what they said yesterday? Isn't that a compelling argument? They didn't do it, which tells me they don't necessarily disagree with it. They may be scared legitimately, but that doesn't mean they disagree with we acquitted her.
I got a question for you, Mark. Turtle Boy had talked about earlier this week that Auntie Bev would not take these jurors that are coming forward to the defense seriously unless they actually revealed their names. Do you have any thought to that particular, thesis by Turtle Boy? I thought that was a very big statement by him. I like that a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, you could tell the judge privately. The judge knows who the jurors are, right? I mean, the judge sat there with 12 jurors for 2 months. The court has the juror list, their names, who they are. I mean, they may not put their name on it publicly, but the judge is going to know that if a juror comes forward or is alleged to be a juror coming forward by the defense or whoever, isn't it easily provable whether they're a real juror or not? So I don't put much stock in that, to be honest, because that's easily established. I mean, look, if some crackpot comes forward and says, I'm not putting my name on it, and you find out they're not a juror, then you say, this person's a lunatic. Get him out of here.
You're right.
But everybody knows who the jurors are. And moreover, Jackson and Yannetti in their affidavits have said, I know who they are. Okay.
Right.
These are real lawyers. And what real lawyers do in jury selection is they write down who the jurors are. Juror 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. They have all their notes. They know who these people are. They fact checked who they are. You think Alan Jackson, with all his credibility, the skilled level of lawyer that he is going to submit an affidavit without knowing for damn certain that I know I'm talking to a juror? No chance. Yep. Now, the trolls could say, oh, he's, whatever. Forget them. Okay. You're talking about an A+ lawyer. Okay. Lawyers understand this, and the judge understands this too.
It's not his first day of the job either. I mean,
Far
these guys
from
are.
it. This guy is top shelf. Okay.
It's not my cousin Vinny type lawyering here.
No. Who, by the way, my cousin Vinny. Vinny Gambini was a very good lawyer.
He was,
It turned out. The point is, all kidding aside, somebody like Alan Jackson is not making this up, okay?
Mhm.
And he's not suggesting that I got contacted by a juror and I know it's a juror unless he knows not only is it a juror, but it's juror number 3, 4, 5, and he knows their name, but he's not revealing it because he's a credible person and he doesn't want to out them. And he said that in his affirmation. So they know who the jurors are. I don't think there's any reason to doubt at all that they know exactly who these jurors are.
Get a lot of comments on here. I got a question. Well, maybe something we could talk about. The Kevin Reddington stuff.
I like Kevin Reddington. I'm going to shock you all. I've had some discourse with him a little bit back and forth. I know he represents Jennifer McCabe. I don't care. And you know what I think about her. Not much. And if Kevin, you're watching, you know that. But lawyer to lawyer, I respect him. He's a real lawyer. I know you've had recently some back and forth with him. You know, look, I bring him on.
I would love to have him on. Kevin, come on the show.
I would love to have a lawyer to lawyer professional, and it would be professional, I assure you, on both sides, conversation with him about this case and the people involved. Would not be personal in any way. It would not be nasty. But rather than having Twitter punches back and forth, Kevin, come on the show. Or anywhere. I'd love to talk to you. I have great respect for him. I want to be very clear about that. And I believe he feels the same way. Lawyers don't necessarily take it personally, but they feel strongly. He feels, he's representing Jennifer McCabe, who is, in the middle of this. So he's going to argue a position where he believes that she's being falsely accused, a good person, whatever. I believe she's a bad person. I believe she's a liar. And I'd love to talk to him about it, but I don't have a problem with him. So come on, let's talk about it.
I'd love to talk to him about Mello.
That too.
He had some comments about Mello and me. I'm happy with Kevin. He confirmed some stuff that we already knew, like in writing. It was pretty good to see. Thank you, Kevin. I thought it would be a dig on me. I was like, dude, thank you. What?
It's interesting, how lawyers work. Just for people watching, we get involved in this. We have opinions, but you respect each other generally, unless there's a reason not to. Guy's got credentials. Now, people may not like him or not. I have nothing wrong with him. He's representing a client. I think his client's not a good person, and I'm happy to debate that. But I've also online spoken to Colin Albert's attorney. What's his name? Krowski, right?
Joseph,
right?
Something, yeah.
Very professional conversations. Nothing lawyer to lawyer, debating. I don't think Colin's a good guy in this story. He obviously represents or did represent him and is going to have a different view. But lawyer to lawyer, we represent clients. We have positions. It's not personal. Real lawyers respect real lawyers. So if you could put together a show of these people, bring it on. I mean, I have no problem talking to those people. The only people I won't talk to are people like Towels, attic dwellers in yellow.
Yeah, the same ones that we would never have on.
Right. No, I mean, they're clowns and they're frankly just not
I would
worthy.
have Kevin Reddington on, but I wouldn't have Kevin Yellow Cottage Tail ever on the show. I wouldn't have Grant on the show or KP. They're not credible, but Kevin Reddington wants to come on. Would love to have him on.
100%. I would treat Reddington as somebody worthy of respect, whether you agree with him or not. He's worthy of being heard. He's not some clown. He's representing a client, part of this case. People can hate him. They can agree with him. They can disagree with him, but his views are worthy of being heard. Same with Colin's lawyer and other people. But the people like Grant and the idiot in the yellow cottage, they're a joke. They're not worthy of being listened to. They're complete clown shows who don't deserve half a second of attention. But lawyers representing clients as part of this case, absolutely.
Excellent. Well, maybe Kevin Reddington's listening. We should check the Twitter. Maybe he wants to come on tonight. If
Yeah,
you're
I was taking a
listening, Kev,
look at
hit us up. What
And
is
by
it?
the way, you don't have to like him or not like him or agree with him, but he's not a dummy. Okay. He's not some dope. He's representing a client. Now he's representing a client that most of your listeners don't like, including me, admittedly. But that's not a reason not to listen to him. Hear what he has to say. And I don't think his views should be shunned because a lawyer is representing an unpopular person. I mean, that's what lawyers do.
He
And
could provide a lot of information that we haven't heard.
that's right. And you can draw your own conclusions after we have a discussion about it, whether you choose to believe him or not, or like him or not. But I don't think anyone should come in with the idea that just because a lawyer is representing an unpopular person, that makes the lawyer a bad person.
No. And I think it would be good to have someone like that on the show, because I've always been open to that, having the other side on, but there's been nobody credible, like I said, that would step forward to do it. I mean, that's why court TV has these morons on there, because there is nobody credible on the other side.
I agree. But I mean, if you get a lawyer for somebody who's on the other side of this case, that may be the best case scenario of getting a quote unquote credible person.
There you go. That's it.
With whom people disagree with. But the key is, you got to hear him out, hear what he's got to say, have a debate, talk about it, and draw your own conclusions. I mean,
I would just have you here, Mark. I would just be the moderator. I would just ask some questions. I'd be nice to Kevin, and I'd be nice to you, as I always am, and just sit back.
I'm sure if we discuss this case or anything about it, we would have a very polite conversation, whether we agree or not agree. And if you're listening, Kevin, let's do it.
Mazza, would you be down to be on that?
I'm absolutely down to be on that. I'd love to be on the show. I realized he was following me the other day. I'm like, oh, Kevin's following me. That's interesting. But I'd like to hear from him and hear some of his just his perspective on the whole thing. And just I just hope my double good popcorn arrives in the mail by the time I get to see Kevin Reddington and Mark Bederow speak, because that's going to be. I'm going to sit there like.
You know what?
Speaking of double good,
it would be fine.
Yeah, we'll get to it. We'll get to it.
We gotta get to the double good.
People shouldn't go into it assuming he's a bad guy just because he represents a client you hate. That's what lawyers do. I mean, lawyers are the last line of defense. And I'm not going to criticize a criminal defense lawyer for representing an unpopular client. We all do it. In many cases, I have really unpopular people. This case, I always make a joke. I'm like the guy in the Muppets, watching from the upper
balcony.
Deck. Right. So yeah. I don't have a dog in the fight per se. I totally believe Karen Reed is getting screwed. I think the case against her is garbage, but I don't have a dog in the fight per se. Now, Reddington does. He represents somebody that many Karen Reed supporters are coming after. Okay. But that's what lawyers do. You represent unpopular people. But let's give him the benefit of the doubt as a lawyer and an individual. Let him make his case. Ask him whatever questions ought to be asked. Let him answer and go from there.
Some people are still doubting that's Kevin Reddington on Twitter.
It is total. I'm telling you.
I know.
Because I've communicated with him.
I know.
By the way, very professionally. It's him.
I know.
I
know it, but it's so funny because he's like, this is the problem with the audience sometimes. It's like, I hate to say trust us, but it's like, just trust us sometimes. Like, sometimes just listen, or do your own research a little more and don't be so certain.
Who knows?
It is Kevin Reddington.
Maybe in 20 minutes we can convince Kevin that he's representing the wrong client and his client is a bad person or not. And you know what? I wouldn't fault him if he took a very aggressive position saying my client is innocent, being smeared, the hell with all of you. It doesn't mean I agree with him, but I respect that. That's what lawyers do. You zealously represent a client. It just turns out in this case, his client is Jennifer McCabe, who most people think is a horrible, horrible person. Okay. But even Jennifer McCabe is entitled to a lawyer of her choice. That's who she chose. We should respect that.
You know what? You mentioned double good popcorn, Mazza. This has become a weird thing because there's like one troll's coming after you and I. Like we have something to do with double good popcorn, which we didn't do a fundraiser. We just promoted other people doing it. Like we
That's
didn't
right.
actually have anything to do with it. We didn't get any kickbacks. We're not in charge of the fundraiser, but people that are, the family of Karen Reed was part of it. Kelly Reed. That's what we promoted actually. And some troll is like giving us shit about it. Like we have to answer to them. It's like I told them, like, you have a problem, go to Karen Reed and ask her about it. Ask Kelly Reed about it. Like,
Yeah.
but they don't. They just want to pretend. It's a weird shit. And then they got it canceled. The trolls got it canceled, didn't they? So tell us about this.
Yeah, so this was I was extremely outrageous. I like Dumpster Juice's comment. He goes, Mazda did a whole damn infomercial. Isn't that the truth? Last Sunday I was sitting there like I was the guy who used to sell those infomercials or whatever. I forget the guy's name now, but the guy that sells the whatever it is, I can't remember. I'll move on. But yeah, I did basically an infomercial Sunday, basically promoting all the popcorn and going through every kind of flavor of popcorn you can possibly get to promote the sale. So I don't run my own store. I just feel like, let me just promote everybody else and just boost the thing any way I can through my show and use my ability to reach out to everybody to do that. And then it turns out that there's this letter written. Someone wrote an email to Double Good, and basically, it looks like Nick had said that they had also Facebooked them on their comment sections, and just wrote all these comments about, this supports a murderer, and you guys are, outrageous for allowing them to run this. And someone said, "Great job raising money for a murderer's attorney's fees. You should be proud." And then Double Good responded, "Thank you for reaching out. We've sent you a DM with more information." Someone wrote also, "It disgusts me that you allowed a fundraiser for a murderer," in all caps. Karen Reed, quote, "Free Karen Reed, take accountability and give your proceeds to the victim's family." And Double Good wrote back, "Thank you for this comment. We've sent you a DM with more information." So those were among the, emails or messages that they got. And it just was, I guess the screenshot came out. Megan on X, or MegMed0402, tagged me in this and basically said this is this Facebook group called Karen Reed Trial, not Free Karen Reed, and just basically went over what had happened. So Double Good had responded and basically said it was allowed to, subsequently, as the Karen Reed fundraiser did not violate our terms of service, it was allowed to remain active for its duration within our system. That said, we are permanently freezing this fundraising organizer moving forward, which will prevent any future funds from being raised through our platform. So what that means is that they're not going to allow Nick Rocco and any of us to basically do this again. Now, it should be noted that the funds that were raised most recently will actually be sent to Nick, who can then send that to Karen Reed's defense fund, which is the most important part right now, is that last active
payment,
all that did not get shut down, which is the most important part, because we can now move on to other things, but at least this was not lost. But yeah, it was very discouraging to read that. I posted the email for them on my page last night. Someone else actually posted their help email as well. And I would encourage everybody, if you want to email them, just state your case, present yourself professionally. Don't necessarily express anger in your words, but just express maybe a contention in your words where you're contending what they've done, and maybe write something that expresses why you feel that, number one, Karen has not been declared a murderer per verdict, and maybe put some educational material in there for them that's public information, and do that. And that's what I would do as well. So I haven't had an opportunity to email them yet myself. I'm working on that. But at this point, it's discouraging that they made this decision as a company. I can understand that they want to basically not get in the middle of crossfire, essentially. Yeah, Billy Mays was the guy. Thank you, Cruz. That's exactly what I was looking for. Thank you. And yeah, it was very discouraging, because this has been, it's initially discouraging. I know Nick and others are going to look for other fundraisers, which is fantastic. But anytime you have something established that's working for us, that's clearly proven and successful, it can be a little discouraging to have to move on to something new, which I think we can do. It will take some time to find another fundraiser. They'll figure it out. Nick, I'm sure, will take the lead on that and get that job done in time. It won't be an issue, but it's disappointing because it's been so successful for us in raising money for Karen Reed. Almost $27,000 raised for her recently.
What kills me too, Mazza,
that take home
is you did this good deed. You did this whole show promoting it. You raised money. You had nothing to do with collecting the money. You had none of your names on the accounts, and like these trolls are coming after you, like you did something wrong on this. Did you see that guy?
I didn't see any negativity. There was one person that I think I blocked this week that was criticizing I think he had like a blue logo, and he had said something about how much money was like. He was even this is the same guy he was accusing the Roccos of pocketing money.
That's what's just killing me. These little trolls that get out there, it's just like, go away, just go away.
And that guy apparently seems to be one of the more objective people in terms of like, he doesn't seem full troll. He's more like, he plays like middle of the road devil's advocate.
That's what was killing me. I'm looking at him. I'm just like, some of these people, I'm just like,
it's intense. And he doesn't know how it works because it says right on their page that on Double Good that 50% of all
that's what I suggested. If you have a problem, contact Double Good and contact the people actually doing the fundraiser and Karen Reed and the cousin. Like, he doesn't do that. Instead, he keeps coming at you and I, and it's like, we had nothing to do with the collection of the money. We didn't even have our name on an account. We promoted someone else doing good work.
That's right. And to my defense, and I always make a purchase myself, so I always put in a purchase. And people say, "Oh, you're grifting." I'm like, well, I always say,
you spent money. You didn't even make money on this. You spent money. Like,
I spent money on
So your volunteer hours and your volunteer money,
right?
And they're this is what kills me.
Right. And I always try to tell, I don't talk to these people too much, but when I do, I always say that, look, I'm a Karen Reed supporter before I'm anything. I use my platform that I had established years ago to basically discuss this matter. And that's all I do. And me, it's all about, it's a heartfelt effort. It's an earnest effort to raise money for Karen. And it's unfortunate people see that. And, either they see it and they're ignoring it and they're trolling, or maybe they're not doing enough research. But it's very clear that the funds raised $50,000 something or whatever it was, and that at least 27,000 of that's going to Karen. So it's very clear. You purchase through the site. There's never any cash on hand for us whatsoever. And like I did this last time around too. What I like to do is I'm like, this is going on. I said, I like to promote everyone's pop-up stores. And I said, you know what, let me just, again, do a show, a popcorn special. And it's great because it educates everyone to, if they haven't heard about it yet, that they can now see it. And I like to show the website and what options you have and how to walk through the purchasing process. And I love to do that because it kind of is a way to kind of like I always tell people, if you can't, like we had a viewer last week that said, well, I can't donate money. And I really, what I said was, that's perfectly fine. But, if you can't donate money, what you can do is you can promote the pop-up store to someone who could, right? If you don't have the financial means to donate to Karen's Defense Fund, that's okay. But you can still, there's other things you can do. You can still promote that defense fund. And if you lead other people to donate or buy popcorn, then you have contributed by not spending a dollar of your own to encouraging others to do that. So it's always like that marketing idea. And that's kind of what I had.
Time is money. And if you put your time into it, that's just as good as money in a lot of respects, especially if people buy it. So, and Mazza, you raise a lot of money. So
thank you.
If Karen Reed was upset, we would be the first ones talking about it.
That's right. Yeah.
So like Karen Reed seems very happy about the community raising money for her. So I want to encourage it. I'm glad that you do it. I'm glad that everyone else does it. And I'm just tired of like people. I don't know if they're real trolls or if they're just dense, but like we got to be honest that they want us to be transparent. So we had to spend all that time on the popcorn fundraiser.
Right. And anyone, there was a conversation online where there was allegations made against Nick, and came to his defense and established his legitimacy as someone that is earnestly making sure money gets to Karen. So that's just, I know none of us doubt that, but I just want to kind of make sure I'm standing up for Nick as well, and just saying that Karen has validated that more than, not that we ever had a doubt, but for anybody out there that was a skeptic, Karen has validated
I've
that
seen
Nick
that.
and
I've seen
Jenna.
that
Yeah.
post too. I did see that.
Yeah.
That's another point that I'd like to make. And
Mhm.
I think there's also a lot of rivalry that always
Mm.
happens among communities, and people start getting jealous and weird. And
Mhm.
so people got to stop that. You just
Yeah.
got to support everybody who's doing something. I
Yeah.
want to thank Attorney Bederow and Mazda Media for being here.
All right.
That's the biggest thing you guys do, is just keep coming back and doing this.
Mhm.
What is there anything we're missing this week? Because it seemed like there was a lot
Yeah.
more that happened
Yeah.
too.
I got two things. I got Bukaki stuff and I got Morrissey stuff.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
one do you want me to go with?
I mean, I think we should ask Mark too. Do you have things that you want
Sure.
to talk about that we haven't mentioned tonight too?
No, but I'm fascinated by Bukaki and
That's
Morrissey.
right. Yeah, I mean, I think the
Let it rip.
Bukaki stuff, and you
Let
said
it
you have Morrissey stuff too. That's interesting. I know the Bukaki. Let's get to the Bukaki, because
Mhm.
I got some extra Bukaki that people don't know about yet. I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to talk about it, but it's all related to what has been reported. So why don't you get into it, Mazza?
Sure. So Yuri made a few visits. He made a visit to Walpole and he made a visit to Woburn, and basically had spoke with one particular woman, and then in the second occurrence in Walpole had Woburn. He talked to the woman from Walpole, but he had not talked to the woman from Woburn. She had ring footage that she put up. So he's making his visits again. If anyone has watched this show or watched my show, Katie, who was in the chat earlier, she was visited by him last year at some point, and he's going around and basically asking them, basically almost like the Gestapo, telling them that, what you're hearing, did you hear this on the internet? And what you're hearing on the internet is wrong, and all this stuff now. So they're kind of going around in a second pass. What the Glairer said was very interesting. He had responded to J Ray. I see where J Ray is coming. He's like, how are you talking and reading the chat? I can do that. I'm very versed in that. But back to what I'm talking about. Sorry. But the Glairer made a great point that basically this is almost like their preparation for their second round. It's interesting that they haven't done this since prior to the trial, when they were approaching people last year. Now they're doing it again after the most recent trial and heading into potentially a second trial. They're making a second pass, and this Kelly here, per individual, was with them as well. So thank you, Melissa. But yeah, it's absolutely them going around again. And I would say two things. I think the people that recorded them, I would recommend to anybody, if you are in this situation, they're coming after people that had emailed Kelly, drawing a blank here, had emailed Lizzie Proctor and had emailed Jen McCabe, or messaged them on Facebook or whatnot. They're coming after people like that. So if they do come to your door, you can just not answer the door. You can answer the door and quote Jim Carrey from Dumb and Dumber. You can say, we have plenty of towels, thanks, and then close the door. You can basically walk out the door and record them the whole time. If they ever come to my house, I'll just go live on StreamYard. So I just want to get that out there. It'll be a nice show, and I'll have them as my guests. So if they ever want to stop in, I'll just stream it right to StreamYard on YouTube, and everyone will get to watch it live right from my front door. So I think that would be a great time for everybody. But
what is he doing, like, in terms of interviewing?
Oh, I'll tell you. I know exactly what he's doing.
I'm not aware of this.
Yeah, they want to know. They come up to people and say, what you did, it can be a crime. It's witness intimidation. I can arrest you.
For what?
So why don't you tell me where did you find that info? Where did you, who's inspiring you to do this? Are you being told to do this by Turtle Boy?
Do what?
The witness intimidation.
Talk to witnesses. Yeah.
So I mean, basically, like, let me give you an example.
Oh, sorry, Mike.
A couple of examples. We already talked about one of them tonight that you just mentioned, that, like, they sent emails or phone calls to those women. Another one, apparently, outside the courthouse, had put some flyers out, and one of them ended up on Adam Lally's car. So now Adam Lally and Bukaki are going to harass that person. And they went and talked to Bukaki without a lawyer. I told their friend, like, get an attorney. Don't talk to him without an attorney. So, like, that's what people need to do right now.
What are they being grilled about? Like, what are they being?
The first thing they want to know is, who put you up to it?
Up to
So
what?
they're looking for, this is the whole thing. This is what they try to do to me. They want to basically scare people into testifying against Aiden and saying, Aiden made me do it. Aiden made me do it. Don't charge me. So they're looking for that person who will do that. You know, that the person that will fold because they're so scared that they'll say, Aiden did it. Aiden told me to do it. That's what they're trying to do right now.
But
So-
did what? I mean, what is Bukkake?
Told me to witness intimidate people.
Okay.
By message. So basically, they were people were messaging last year Lizzie Proctor, Jen McCabe, and maybe a few others. And they had anybody that had done that, they would start to go to their house and basically question them. And they stopped doing that for the longest time. But now all of a sudden, in the recent day or two here, they've made a few trips to Walpole and Woburn to individuals who a year ago, this is actually, I think one of them actually called the employer of Lizzie Proctor on July 12th. I think it was the individual from Walpole, and basically wanted to confirm if basically do a work check verification, and got no answers. And then they found out about it somehow, got her name and number somehow, and then arrived at her door. I believe that's actually that particular individual was more recently, but I think the other one was someone that messaged Jen or Liz a year ago. I'm not absolutely fully clear on what exactly each individual had done to get them at their door with accuracy, but that's kind of a gist of what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, some of these people made phone calls or emails to people. I mean, isn't that First Amendment?
It's just pathetic. I mean, why are they wasting their time, effort, and resources on this at this
And there's
point?
no way that Aiden is telling these people to do it either. Like, that's the thing. Like, they know Aiden's not telling people to do it.
It's pretty pathetic.
Yeah, it's like anything. It's like people that were trying to call up D&E Pizza a year ago or whatever. If people are doing that, they're doing it because they're doing it on their own account. They're not doing it because Turtle Boy. What they're trying to do is they're trying to make it seem like Turtle Boy is basically the author of witness intimidation.
Like
and
he's a ringleader, like it's a gang, like it's a RICO conspiracy. When
Right.
it's not.
Yeah.
So they're looking for that one person that will say, Turtle Boy told me to do it. I'm so afraid. Right. I'm so afraid of you guys that you're going to put me in jail that I'm going to tell you Turtle Boy did it. So what people need to do is, like Mazza said, some of those people today, you could see they recorded the video. You saw Bukkake and you could see what he was trying to do. We saw it in the video, what he was trying to do. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one good tactic. But I think another tactic is say, I can't talk to you without my attorney here. Mm-hmm. End of story. And get an attorney. If you hear that Bukkake is knocking at your door, you get him on Ring video, or they're showing up at your parents' house, get an attorney. And then call Bukkake and say, I have my attorney. Here's his phone number. They'll stop calling you. Like as soon as they found out I had an attorney, didn't hear from them again.
Well, they're not allowed to talk to you if you're represented, clearly.
So that's what people need to do.
This idea that they're hunting Aiden like the great white whale is pathetic.
It's
just not what this is all about. It's truly taxpayer dollars being spent on the state police chasing their tail, looking for evidence against him to add to their flagging case against him. It's just a complete waste of time.
So I hope people don't talk to them. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you said, like you said, the attorney thing, that's one of the things I didn't say. Thank you for that, Mike. That's absolutely important. Just say,
that's like, like the vampires come, when the vampires come and you put up the cross or the garlic. That's what it does to them. I swear to God, they're all over me. I had like every police informant was like, you got to talk to Tully. Oh, my attorney. Here's his name and number. Silence. Over. Yeah. All people, you need an attorney.
Yeah, that's crazy that they go to the door like that. I mean, you have to wonder, are they going rogue on the state police, where they're basically like we've said for a long time, they're just doing their own thing, and they're not like the state police even know they're making these visits. It's what kind of
And I gotta say too, for people out there who this might happen to, I think a lot of the reason why people don't talk to an attorney, they think it will cost them a lot of money. It won't. My attorney that I got never charged me a dime. He said he's only going to charge me if, I actually had a criminal charge. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like if you just tell them you have an attorney, they're probably like, some might charge you. I don't know. It depends on who you are, but it's not going to be a huge charge, right, Mark? It's not going to be a huge amount of time for an attorney until there's something really there, right?
Depends.
$500 and a Big Mac and fries.
Yeah. If that, I didn't get charged at all.
It depends. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, there are times you bill hourly, depending on what's going on. There are times you bill matter related, you know, flat fee. Different lawyers are going to charge different rates. It's unclear. I mean, look,
And you could shop around too. That's the other thing. Like, you know,
definitely shop.
that's what I did. I made some calls until I got the right guy, and
the right guy.
the community will help you too. That's the other thing. If this is happening to you, reach out to the people in the community. You know who they are. They'll help you. They'll find you somebody. They found me somebody real quick, and I got the best person for me.
No complaints about that.
So there's photos out that basically, apparently, allegedly, Lally's vehicle had a flyer put in the thing that said Massachusetts Crime Scene Collection Cup with a picture of, yes, you guessed it, a red Solo cup on it. They put,
so that's out. I'm not ruining that. I was worried that I was speaking too soon. That's the one I was talking about.
Well, I was sent that privately. Maybe I shouldn't have spoken, but
whatever.
Whoever sent that to me in the chat, let me know.
You know what? It got leaked.
Yeah. No confirmation if that was exactly Lally's vehicle, but that's what I've been per source.
That's what I've been told too.
Lally deserves a lot of criticism, a lot, for what he does in the courtroom and what he does in bringing a case to trial. In terms of his personal life and his car, you know, I don't think people, I mean, that to me is getting a little close to home. Maybe we shouldn't do that.
Yeah, but they basically, it was at court. They didn't know it was his car. His car, it was far away actually from the courthouse, so they had no idea it was his car. And we're told it's okay to talk about.
He should not be targeted for personal protest. Having said that, he ought to be criticized heavily for his pathetic performance in the courtroom, his complete lack of disregard for Karen Reed's, you know, civil rights and what he's doing in the courtroom, but going after his car and personal thing, not a fan of that.
I don't think that was the intent, though. That's what I'm trying to say. Like the person that was flying a bunch of cars. They had no idea whose car it was.
I mean, look, if his car shows up because it's in the parking lot, you know, whatever.
That's it.
But, you know, going after him personally beyond the courtroom, I think, is not a wise thing. And that by the way, that's just going to feed the narrative of things like the current juror who filed the affidavit doing.
Yeah, I would suggest it, but I don't think that person's intent was that.
Right. No, I understand what you're saying, but just it's not good to go after these people.
Definitely.
Generally.
Yeah, I agree. We should never do that at all.
It though. That's the problem.
I mean, it's not, don't misunderstand it. He ought to be criticized heavily for what he's doing in the courtroom, which is, in my view, disgraceful.
So what you said, you had something on Morrissey too. Mazza, you still there?
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I was just kind of sorry. The day was dazing on other stuff. Sorry about that. Morrissey's getting a pay raise of $32,000 a year.
We had a glitch. We had a Mazza glitch.
Oh,
that was
okay. Yeah. Sorry, I was getting caught up in those pictures and everything. Sorry, I was doing some research on the side here, so sorry about that. But yes, Michael Morrissey is getting a $32,000 a year raise. So that's a lot to meet the bills. So yeah, $32,000 a year raised, and I think that's going to equate to $2,000 added on to his pension, which is insane. So it's
can we not give him that raise? Like, it seems like he doesn't deserve a raise this year. How do we stop that raise?
I don't know. He was at $191,000 a year. Now he's going to be at $223,000 a year. That's $32,000, of course, and then the pension will be around $2,000 a month. That's $2,000 a month additionally to his pension. That's madness.
A hack's hack.
Yeah. That's a lot of meatballs.
Vote him out. I mean,
Yeah.
it's up to the people in Norfolk County. Do something about it. You don't like them? Do something about it.
Yep.
I mean, how many terms is he on? Third term?
I
How
don't
many
even
times
know.
has he been elected and reelected?
He's been reelected like since the 70s for state house stuff. They've
But
been
what
using
about
him.
as DA?
DA, I think it might be his third term.
Okay, so if you live there, do something about it. Vote him out. He's a bum. He's a hack. He's probably crooked. He's certainly not competent. Do something about it. Vote him out.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Hopefully, I don't even think he's going to run again. I very much doubt he will.
I wouldn't be surprised if you're right. I mean, he's got a lot going on for sure.
Yep.
Rita's yard was just brought up in the comments as
Do you
well.
want to
Yeah.
talk about that too?
I'll let you go on that. I think you know way more about it right now than I do. So,
Well, I was actually going to maybe
oh,
step out for a second because I
Oh.
think we have an issue in the household where I got to
okay.
find somebody, something or other, and I'll be right back. She lost her glasses.
Yep. No problem about that.
I'm
Yes.
doing everything here, man. I'm just holding down the fort. So why don't you start on that? I'll be right back. Be back in
Right.
like 5
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah, sure. So essentially what happened here was essentially Rita's getting, basically once again, people are coming for her. And basically there was like water balloons that I'm trying to get the details here. Sorry, one sec. I had only had a vague understanding of what was happening, but let me see if I got it. I actually think Mike put it on his page. A little bit under studied on this particular subject right now. But basically they were, basically some kind of balloon or whatever was thrown in our yard. Trying to see if I can get it. Sorry, folks, for the hold up here.
Oh, you guys holding up for me?
Yeah, no. I know you needed to step away, but basically there were water balloons found in Canton on Cedar Crest, and Mike had asked, "Where's Helena Rafferty?" As some, had basically specified some things were thrown at Rita's yard. So that's basically what's going on. Is people are basically, giving Rita a hard time once again, and it's just not cool, and we don't appreciate.
Did you see the
seeing her
spots in the
harassed.
yard?
I don't believe I did. No, not yet.
Okay. She sent me some pictures of her yard. And there were a couple other people too that had the same thing happen apparently. And someone's been throwing balloons filled with like bleach and killing their lawns and gardens.
Oh, I see it now on your page.
Remnants, and then they found a bag full of them. And Rita's not going to the Canton police because
why would she?
So now she contacts the FBI. So that's what she was doing today.
What do they do? I mean, that's the FBI.
I know, right?
I mean, I get her problem,
I know.
but the FBI is not investigating.
I know.
Lawn damage by some, meathead. But I mean, your point's well taken. The fact that you feel compelled that you need to call the FBI instead of the local cops is just in 2024 in a Boston suburb, supposedly a well-enlightened kind of place. It's crazy.
And I guess that's why the jurors, maybe one of the jurors is afraid. I mean, I can totally, because they're reading this stuff that goes on. But more of it, I feel like it's from the McAlbert side. I mean, the real awful stuff is the McAlberts. I mean, that's the, to me.
I mean, throwing bleach bombs on someone's yard sounds like something a child would do. That's just unbelievably pathetic. That grown people living in a community, again, 20 miles from Boston in 2024, because they disagree over a criminal case and town government, is just sick.
It's like, I'm sure it's just a joke, like, the joke that someone said that they were going to mess up John's lawn. Remember that one?
Yeah.
It's just a joke.
That town is, I mean, I can't, what can you say about it?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see the people that are the trolls and all that disavow these actions. I know, like, anytime we're accused of anything on our side, whether we most of the time we haven't done anything. We're usually just disavowing and discouraging anybody from doing anything like that. Is anybody on the other side discouraging what was done to Rita?
This is why I would have him on the show. Kevin Reddington actually did. Kevin Reddington, actually, I saw on his tweet,
Mm.
he said, "This is not right. Everyone has a right to free speech."
Absolutely. I mean, whatever. I mean, that's the whole purpose of the First Amendment. It doesn't have to be popular. It doesn't have to be something that everyone agrees with. But the remedy is not to start destroying property because you disagree with
Right.
someone. That's an uncivilized society.
And Rita's made several claims that it's domestic terror. Other things that what's going on in that town is essentially domestic terrorism, and this woman can't even live on her own property without having her yard basically, essentially vandalized.
Well, it's ridiculous. I mean, I don't care whether you like her or don't like her, whether you agree with her or don't agree with her. You can't destroy her property. That's a crime. And then who do you call to investigate it? And as you just said, she can't even call the cops. I mean, this is that this would be happening in 2024 again in an enlightened suburb, 15
Massachusetts,
outside of Boston. It's insanity.
2024. It's crazy. It is crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
And where's the AG and the governor? They just stay out of this stuff. It's getting old. They have nothing.
There's
You think they might actually like create a task force to like look into some of this stuff?
They don't care. There's no political benefit. I mean, look, on the one hand, you have a large segment of the population who believes in it. A woman is being falsely accused of murder. On the other hand, you have a deceased police officer. So as a politician, you pick a side, you're going to get killed either way you go, right?
Yeah, you have a point.
If you go with the Karen Reed side, you're anti-cop. If you go with the, oh my God, she's being wrongfully charged, you're going with the conspiracy pink shirt wackos, and you can't win. So politically, what do? You do nothing.
Silence.
Let it play out, and then lick your finger, test the wind, and go with that. So politically, I get it. It's not courageous, but I understand it politically.
So, any final thoughts tonight? Anything else we're missing? Maybe about jurors or this week?
Netflix John O'Keefe documentary is in the works right now. It's going to be 3 episodes. That broke today. The other side's trying to promote it as something else, but I'm just hearing it's going to be a standard documentary, basically about John O'Keefe and his, what had occurred and all that. That's about a Fall River Reporter also talked about that briefly today. It's limited on details right now, but it's going to be basically 3 episodes is what they're saying. It's as unaffiliated with the one I think that the other one that was rumored. So I think this is a totally different documentary than the one that was apparently being made a few months back.
Here's a question that came in. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, which to me is the trolls. What is your best way of dealing with trolls?
Block them.
Again, it really depends to me how you define a troll. I don't define people like Kevin Reddington as a troll. Okay. I define trolls as Grant. Okay. I define, yellow idiot in the attic. He's a troll. These people should be just ignored. They should be marginalized and ignored. But if there are reasonable people who disagree, they ought to be engaged because you can expose them. You can expose their views as wrong. Let the public decide. Maybe they'll agree with you. I don't know. But as far as like actual trolls, ignore them.
Yeah.
Just
I would say the same thing. Block mostly. And put, maybe if I really have a problem with him, ridicule him on the show. Use him for content. Like that's about it. But mostly block them. Kevin's the only one I don't block because I kind of enjoy just how pitiful he is. Because I don't engage with him on his Twitter. He comes to me every 3 months or so. That's when I know right now he hasn't come at me lately, and I'm convinced because the numbers are starting to go down again. So when the numbers start going back up, Kevin will be on me, and I'll know oh, we're peaking again. Kevin's on.
I didn't block him for the longest time. I held on for the entertainment value, but there comes a time where there's only so many times you can be called an idiot, and any 10 drunks in a bar.
Like it. I don't know. Kevin, he just makes you laugh. It's oh my God.
There just
He's
came
the
a
only
point
one. The rest of them, though, I
guy
can't deal with it.
is such a tool.
That's what I love, though.
I can't. And
It's almost like you couldn't make it up. Like it's like so funny. It's like unintentionally funny.
yeah, I
The
again,
zombies. How about when he called? Oh, when he went after you for, I don't even know what it was. He just anytime he went after you.
moron, real estate lawyer,
Yeah, the real estate. That was
grifter. I again, there comes a point where like, my guy,
then the real estate attorney. Yeah, I think Brian got mad. I think Brian actually, he's like, I'm not a real estate, I'm an estate attorney. Oh man. Kevin is funny.
He is, but there comes a for me anyway.
Yeah.
There was
No, we all have our personal
we
limit.
all. I don't need
Like I can't deal with Grant for 2 seconds. It's just like no.
Grant is more dangerous than the yellow cottage.
Yeah, I have fun with yellow cottage. It's just fun.
He's just a useful idiot for the other side.
Yeah,
Grant is dangerous because
I can't.
Grant is a liar and will literally gaslight on purpose and try to exploit and create and all kinds of things. And he's more dangerous. And of course, he learned from the best, right? He learned from mom.
Always trying to out victim the victim. I was assaulted.
I'm a victim.
Oh my goodness.
He is a disgrace beyond. He's much worse than Yellow Cottage Idiot and these other trolls. He is affirmatively dangerous.
Yeah. No, he is. Yeah, he's been Yellow Cottage Tales. Yeah, Yellow Cottage Tales, that doesn't bother me too much. He comes at me with a few insults every now and then. It's once in a while, like Mike said. But to me, like I said, I'm just convinced he's just a guy that really believes what he's saying. That's really my honest opinion.
Grant makes things up and publishes them as fact and leads to problems. And I don't think the Yellow Cottage Idiot does that. I just think he's a delusional tool.
Yeah.
But Grant is affirmatively dangerous.
Oh, yeah, he's malicious.
He manipulates data, creates data, and literally tries to agitate for the sake of agitating. And
absolutely 100%.
He should be shunned beyond belief.
Totally.
He is a bad person, and he tries to create himself as a victim. As you said, I'm disabled, I'm this. He is a bad human being and should be shunned by all.
I agree. Based on all my experiences with him and what he's done to people over and over again. And it bugs me to say that because at one point I actually liked the guy. I thought he was he had me conned. He really did.
I don't see any redeeming qualities in him at all.
No, there are none. I agree. You know what? He's the only quality he has is that he's good at bullshitting. Like some people believe him. Like that's his only
He is an expert gaslighter. I have never seen anyone literally more confident in bullshit than that guy.
Go.
Okay,
he's got a weird skill.
Shocking news.
Touché.
Shocking news. Breaking news. Yeah.
Allegations.
And the idea that he actually sat in that trial as a journalist is just a freaking joke. Okay.
Yeah.
He's not a journalist. He's a clown. Everybody knows that.
Got a question here about reform. How could citizens foster change around these subjects?
I mean, if you live in Canton, vote for change. I mean, or move. I mean, what else can you say? I mean, or if you live in Norfolk County, vote for new officials. I mean, you have a terrible court system. You have a terrible DA's office. You have terrible state police that are embedded in town. So you either make change or you move. I don't know what else you can say. I mean, I feel bad for you. I can't believe, again, in suburban Boston, that this is the way people live. It's crazy in 2024. Insane. This feels like something you would expect in like rural Mississippi, not Massachusetts in 2024.
I'd say during election time to get heavily involved in different campaigns and find and like bring it up, especially like in the beginning of campaigns. A lot of times you have like a lot of new candidates and they don't know kind of where they're going. And you get involved in those campaigns and whisper in their ear, say, this is what's important to me. That's how you start to get some campaigns and candidates that can actually discuss it and raise the issue and run on it. So
And you know what else? Like, right? I don't even know when the elections are in Norfolk County. I have no idea. I don't live there, so I have no clue. But find lawyers now who are credible candidates for DA and find them and recruit them and get them started, because you need an organization. You can't just run a week before a so-called election. So why not find candidates to run for DA and make it clear that people are going to run for the first time against Morrissey and run on Karen Reed. Use that.
to run on it.
Use it as a cudgel. Use it as a weapon. What's he going to do? What's he going to do? I mean, argue that this is a great case. Do it. And maybe you'll damage him. Maybe someone will win. Maybe he'll bow down and leave. I don't know. But you start now.
Excellent. Just looking at if we get some more instant feedback coming in.
No, I'm not volunteering. Somebody's asking me. No.
What do they want you to volunteer for?
I have no interest
Oh, to run?
DA in Norfolk County.
Yeah.
And by the way, if
You'd
I
be-
ever did it would be Middlesex County. It would never be Norfolk
Okay.
County. For what? But no, all kidding aside, never.
What's your favorite cocktail? Question came in.
I like wine and whiskey. I'm not really a cocktail person per se. Wine and
What
whiskey.
about you? What about you, Mazza? You drink?
Coronas, Bud Light. I don't drink Bud Light much anymore, but Coronas, I'll drink wine if it's provided. That's about it. But now I'm not too much of a heavy drink. I drank mostly in my 20s, so. But,
Yeah, I would say like a peanut virgin colada, or like a fruit smoothie, or coffee, or water.
Or what about some
no alcohol?
scorpion bowls or something like that, right?
I like the taste of it, but I don't want to get drunk. So I don't really, I know I'm such a wimp now. I'm mostly like Mazza. I don't drink much anymore.
I'm battling gaining weight all the time, so
I'll probably have a drink with you though, Mark. If like a special occasion, I might have one. Like that's me partying. I'm gonna have one drink with you.
Hey, we'll do that for sure.
Maybe a margarita. Woo!
Those are good. Margaritas
like
are good.
those.
Yeah.
On the rocks, or do you like it frozen?
Frozen.
Really?
Yeah.
I got to do it on the rocks.
Yeah.
I don't know. I frozen are okay, but
yeah,
there's something like just love the margarita. Some people don't even do the rocks; they just do them straight up.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's saying in the comments, of course, we should all have White Claws, of course.
White Claws
in solo.
It's Fireball shots,
right?
I'm caught up on Fireball shots. I went to Bridgewater State; those were big. Fireball shots were when Chris ordered the Fireball shots. I was like, "Wow, is this a Bridgewater State party or what, Chris?"
Hey, listen, when we were all in college, I'm sure Firewater and Jaeger shots were a big thing.
Oh, Jaeger. See, that was
geez.
a few years later.
That's a long time. Yeah.
Oh boy.
When we were in college, it was Fireball. I don't know what it's just funny.
Oh,
how
that
you
always
have
feels
errors.
crazy here. Oh, it's horrible. You feel it's like
Jaeger master. Yeah, that's another
I haven't
one.
had
Ooh.
Fireball probably in like 7 years, at like a Christmas party or something. That was the last time I had one at that, and it's always
White Claws and red Solo cups. That's where it's at.
Got to be careful. Don't put those put those flyers out there. You might hit the wrong car.
Yeah. Then they'll exploit it on you, and
and then they'll try to get you to turn on Turtle Boy. That's what it's really about. It's about their vendetta. They're asking you to come to Middlesex County.
I grew up in Middlesex County. I love Middlesex County, but I'm not interested in being DA in Middlesex County or Or
Is
DA.
Framingham? That's what I was wondering. Is Framingham part of Middlesex County? It is.
Absolutely. Yep.
See, I always think like, yeah, I guess because Natick would be.
Yep. Framingham and Natick is that's my stomping grounds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
Wayland.
all.
You know the
Yep.
Wayland High
All that.
School?
I know it.
Yeah, we
Yep.
used to wrestle there. I love that little high school.
Yep.
Very cool little gym.
Yep.
They got some good wrestling teams over there. Framingham was always okay. Weston, Wayland, definitely good teams.
In my day, they were really good at hockey, and hockey was for our
The
team.
sport.
I think was the best sport. Yeah.
That was like the big for hockey and football were like the biggest sports in my high school by far. That was like
big rival was Natick. The Framingham
Nate. Oh yeah,
Thanksgiving game
Yeah.
was a big deal.
Doug
back
Flutie.
Doug Flutie
Natick.
was the running joke 100 years ago when I was there was that the last, for years, Framingham South anyway is where I went, never beat Natick. And the last time they had beat Natick was when Doug Flutie was quarterback in Natick. And then it took them like 10 or 15 years to win again. And then if I recall correctly, my senior year, they beat them, and my guys are still proud to this day. They'll still tell you about how we kicked the shit out of Natick that day.
And they beat Doug Flutie. Wow.
Well, not when I was there. I'm not that old. Jeez.
Yeah, but earlier.
Yeah. Before that. The one time before then was, yes, they actually beat Doug Flutie, which is
Flutie Flakes.
Flutie Flakes. I had some of those.
Yeah.
I wonder if I still got the box. Probably at my parents' house.
Yeah.
I had that, like, never opened it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I've got some, like, I don't have Flutie Flakes, but I have a box of like 2004 David Ortiz Wheaties that are unopened. I've got a box of Kevin Garnett 2008 world champion Celtics Wheaties, things like that. God knows what's growing inside of these things.
I know, right? How long's there's small bugs in there?
And of
especially
course,
if it's cereal.
I've got some Wicked Smarts from a year or two ago. You know, the Market Smart cereal.
Yeah, I remember those. Yeah,
Very good.
That,
like Lucky Charms. It was actually, very good stuff. But
that's awesome.
I've got all that stuff in the man.
Did you have the Tim Tebow cereal that they had a couple years back when he was on the Patriots?
No. That I did not take Tim Tebow as a Patriot seriously at all.
I was saying, was he on the Patriots? Did I miss that? I must have.
He was in
the preseason. Yeah.
That was kind of like a Belichick mind game more than anything.
Yeah. He always has these little projects that nothing happens.
Well, he's got a hell of a project going on right now. Jeez.
What's he doing?
He's dating a 22-year-old.
Oh, yeah, that. Yeah. Him and Kraft are like that. They like to date these really young girls.
Oh my God, it's crazy. Yeah.
But he's not working, is he?
He's working for like inside the NFL. He'll coach.
He's going to be on TV?
Yeah. He's
It
got to
was
break
just like
Shula's
Brady.
record, but that's breaking Shula's record's in jeopardy now because he's losing a season, and it's just not. I was hoping he was going to go on with Atlanta, but that ended up falling out because of the ownership. What he wanted for GM stuff or whatever it was out there, and I think that a lot of he wants too much, and I think the problem with him is the age factor starting to be looked at by the owners now, where they're like, well, I don't know if we want to give you all this because by the time it takes 3 seasons to turn a team around on average. And, 3 years from now, he's
70s. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like the generations have changed too. Like a lot of times the strict coaches, like people don't want that anymore. The younger generation doesn't respond to it like we did when we were younger. You know what I mean? It's like,
he's 15 wins. How many wins away from Shula is he?
I think it would take him at least 2.5 seasons to get there. I think.
I don't see it. I hate. I mean, it's a shame because I'd like him to get it. I don't see it.
Yeah, I like Shula. His brother was my doctor, saved my life basically. So I love Shula. Yeah,
I don't like what Shula had to say about Belichick late in his life. I thought it was.
Yeah, I agree.
That's true. Yeah, he was kind of catty, wasn't he?
Yeah,
26 wins. 26 wins away.
26. No chance.
He's 16 away from George Hallis as well. So yeah,
but 26. I mean, that's
8 wins a season gets you to 24. So
4 years
in
a mediocre team, unless he's going to like fall into Dallas or something like that. I don't see it.
Yeah.
It could be done. Maybe he just does
Yeah.
TV.
On the other hand, you're 70 something years old, you're
Yeah.
done, and you're dating some like 23-year-old
Yeah.
chick. Some would say he's already won, and like,
Right.
walk away and take the win.
And just do a little TV. If I were him, I mean, because you work, I know, especially that type of personality, like he just doesn't know how to turn it off. So the guy
No,
works 7 days a week, goes like all those hours. Now he's not doing any of that. He's probably just like, what the hell am I going to do with my time?
He's
But
actually brilliant at TV because he's like the king of the X's and O's for football.
Yep.
I mean, nobody
The
can
illustrator.
nobody can break it down like him. So and he's got a really witty sense of humor. You wouldn't know it from listening to him on a daily basis, but he's perfect for TV if he's willing to do it.
Even if he doesn't get the wins record, he has 8 Super Bowl victories on his lap, as a defensive coordinator or head coach combined. So if he doesn't get the wins record, it's really not the end of the world.
not at all. Who cares?
It'd be nice if he got it. But
Listen, let's be honest. When people like us were growing up, the Patriots were a joke.
Oh
Yep.
God, the Patriots.
Maybe I'm dating myself, but they were
No.
and I dealt with that. My classmates.
I used to
make fun
go
of me.
every game. We could go to the games because you could go a day of and get tickets because they would never sell out. They do the TV blackouts. Remember, they never even show it on TV for Christ's sakes.
Right.
20
Never have
year
a Monday night game.
model franchise in all of sports. And
I used to get made fun of for wearing Patriots gear to school when they were like a 5-win team, and
they were like the
classmates had
minor league
Cowboys
team of
jackets.
the NFL. That's what it felt like. It was like the Hartford Whalers or something. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Or like not really an NFL team.
Yeah.
Even though you
Having
are.
said that, can they please bring back like Pat Patriot and like enough with the flying Elvis, and let's go really 80s old school. Let's go back to the
I like
red.
that. I like it.
I will caution you, sir, that they never won a Super Bowl with Pat the Patriots. I will caution you.
One of the greatest uniforms in all sports.
Yeah,
they
it's true.
suck, but what a great look.
It was classic. It's
What a great-
one of the greatest logos in sports history, quite honestly.
Yep. It's a great look. They really should bring it back. I mean, what else do they have? I mean, they suck anyway. They might as well look nice.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of I like the blue jerseys they got, the white jerseys they got nowadays. I like the ones they had during the white jerseys during the Brady era better, but I do like the blue jerseys a lot nowadays.
The blue on blue pants is horrible.
Yeah, I don't like the blue on blue. Yeah,
Horrible.
but I like the blue and silver a lot. Yeah,
I like the old white and red. Like
Yeah.
I remember that. Like I'm with Mark. I like the old school. I want to see that come back.
Yeah.
I don't
It's a
know.
great
Just
look.
I
know
I-
it's synonymous
that's the
with
thing too. I think I relate to the Patriots as losers. So like when I get nostalgia, I think of Steve Grogan. I relate to Steve Grogan more than I relate to Tom
Neck
Brady.
roll hanging out behind him.
Yeah, and he could never
Yeah.
win, even though he was great. He was like he had bad knees. That guy was a tough son of a.
He was a
bee.
tough dude. He got the crap kicked out of
yeah.
him. Yeah, but no, but those are the good uniforms. But
Andre Tippett, he was the
Andre
man.
Tippett, yeah.
Yep. My first favorite Patriot. Yep, Andre Tippett. He was my childhood hero when I was really young. Yeah.
I pictured you as kind of like a Mosi Tupu kind of guy.
Yeah.
Mm,
I
me?
like
No.
Mosey, but then he fumbled in Denver, remember? The
I
playoff.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, we never fumbled, and then he fumbles. It's like, oh my God, Mosey. He was great.
They were
Russ
bad,
Friend.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was when
They
they
had
were
some great
losers.
play.
I mean, that's when they were, and then they became like the soulless winners who would.
There we
never-
go. That's what I didn't like. I gotta say, the one thing that keeps me for the Pats. Have I said this before in the show? I'd probably have.
No.
My sweet mate in college, when we were there together, like I actually changed my major a few times. One of the reasons was because of him, and then I decided not to do it. But he was the athletic trainer, so when we played sports, he used to tape our ankles and all that shit. And he got the internship at the Patriots, and he was like instantly like picking up, Marv Cook, what's his name? Bledsoe lived in Bridgewater where we lived. Every night we'd be having a party, and he'd be like, Jimmy's on the phone. He's like, Bledsoe's coming over tonight. Marv Cook is coming. They would never come, but they always said they were coming. We were always waiting for them. They never came. But now he's been there forever. He's the head trainer at the New England Patriots forever. Guy I grew up with, and I love it. Good for Jimmy Whalen. Doesn't talk to any of us, and I don't blame him. Because we're probably all of his old friends will probably be trying to get gambling tips.
Yeah.
And it was when we were friends back then, it was pre-internet. You don't have phones, because if you have a phone number, it's just for his parents' house from 50 years ago. So you lose touch with a lot of those people, but he's like one of the best kids, doing great. James Wayland, head trainer for the New England Patriots. I watch him every Sunday. Like, it's like, oh, this Jimmy's, he's helping them up. He's the little bald guy.
I loved going to Patriots games during the era of domination. I went to many Foxborough, but against the Jets and Giants in New York, because the people there, they hated them so much, and they were so resigned to, we can't win. The Patriots were like the evil empire, and it was great to be part on the road as part of that. And it's unfortunate, because it was during the so-called perfect season that didn't end so perfectly. But I'll never forget going to the last game of the year in Giants Stadium against the Giants.
The 16-0 game.
The 16-0 game. And my friend and I, we went for 16-0, and also for Brady for the touchdown record, and Moss for the touchdown record.
Yep.
And if I recall correctly, in that game, Brady chucked a 70-yard touchdown to Moss.
Yes.
Everybody the record. They went 16-0, and it was awesome. But there was that one little nagging thing in that game. Man, the Giants played tough.
Oh my goodness!
They had no reason.
Yeah,
they had already clinched their wild card berth, and Tom Coughlin, who's who's coach at BC. That's right. But they played so hard, and it was very prescient, because who would have known, 4 weeks later, or 5 weeks later, what was going to happen. But they were like coached so well to do what they did, and they just destroyed what would have been the greatest season in all sports.
Oh yeah, yep. They got 2 shots at it. It was nuts. That was crazy. The way they were playing us in that game, I remember I was with a bunch of buddies, and we were out in Worcester that night, and we're just like, we're gonna lose this game, because we were down 11. The Patriots ended up coming back. It felt like a Super Bowl. They won by 3. You know what I mean? They always won Super Bowls by 3 back then, and they won that game 38-35. And it was like, okay, they're gonna win the Super Bowl now. And I was like, I hope we don't play the Giants in the Super Bowl. And I ended up watching every game they played, and I'm like, the Cowboys failed. And I'm like, come on, Packers. I want to get the Packers back for Super Bowl 31. So come on, Brett Gillis. And he throws that pick. I'm like, no.
If you watch that game live, which I did, I'll never forget it. The Giants physically just kicked the crap out of the Patriots in that game. The Patriots were much more talented, but they kicked the crap out of them physically.
Yeah, and that offensive line.
You just ignored it, because you're like, oh, the Giants are never gonna, they're whatever. Like you said, they're a low-grade wild card team, and then
matchup sometimes makes everything.
Yeah,
Coughlin was a beast. He was a beast, unfortunately.
And the thing was too, they were from the same coaching tree under Bill Parcells, so Coughlin knew a lot. Like, a lot of the things that made Belichick so great was things he knew, but when he went up against coaches like Coughlin, who also had similar teaching and strategies, a lot of times in those games it was just tit for tat the whole game, because they both knew each other's strategies, and they just knew what to do. And the Giants never really made any major mistakes in those games. And if they did, they were just minimal. And that was always in both Super Bowls. That was the frustration for me as a Patriot.
It still pisses me off, because in both Super Bowls, they had to win by a gimmick reception.
I know. Why
are we doing this? So,
then again, there's Wes Welker and his famous drop, which was right in his hands. That was rough. And I felt
that was
Wes.
My husband can't throw and catch the ball, right? Yeah,
I like Wes. I keep bringing out the personal stories. I met Wes. I delivered food to him.
No kidding.
Yeah, and it was one of those gig workers when I was hired up for money, and it came up, and I was like, holy fuck, like, because it was his name. You know what I mean? And so it's like Back Bay, and I go up there. It's like his agent's. I don't think it was his agent's apartment, actually, but it was definitely like because it said like Wolf Associates or something like that.
Right.
And so I go up to this brownstone, and I hit the buzzer, and a woman, answers and I'm like, oh, he's not coming down, for his food. That's what I'm figuring. Because I'm like now I know it's him, because I could tell, like, this is definitely Wes Welker his food delivery, and he comes down. And I'm like, dude, what's up? Like, because I knew, you know what I mean? But I didn't get weird with him. And he had already left a big tip on the card. He threw like an extra 50 down. I was like, this guy, I like this guy. I like him. And then I didn't make a big deal. I just took off, and that was my
All he's got to do is catch up all. It's a first down. That game is over.
Yeah.
You know, somebody's in the comments, Asante Samuel, same thing. Make that catch, game's over. On the defensive side, it's horrible. But
yeah, a lot of things. There was like 13 to 14 things that happened in that Super Bowl with the Patriots just accomplished one of those like 14 or 15 things that they would have won the game. It was like not going for the field goal in that game. I think in the third quarter, they passed up on that. They went for it on fourth. If they had pegged that field goal, it's 17-all at the end of that game. And the Patriots just got tried for a field goal at the very end. But the Patriots came back. What I liked about their team in 2014 was they got a lot bigger, a lot stronger. Their defense was a lot more bigger and athletic. And if they had been like that 2011 team that played the Giants the second time, I thought they were way too small. Outside of their offensive line, I thought they were too small. But in 2014, they got like, you know, Jamie Collins and Chandler Jones and just all these guys, like Brandon Browner at, you know, cornerback, who was huge.
Before he went to prison, right?
Yes.
I will tell you this, and then we can stop with the football. I know people.
Okay, I'm enjoying this conversation. I got a lot in me.
I only like talking about the meetings, meeting the people.
Seahawks,
like what game?
So I had destroyed my ankle about maybe 3 or 4 days before, like multiple comminuted fracture, and I was like laid out, like destroyed ankle in a hard cast, couldn't move. And I'm in the basement watching that game. And of course, the last 5 minutes of that game was an emotional orgy. I mean, of good and bad, like up and down. And if you recall, you know, you thought the Patriots were in good shape. Then you got that before the Malcolm Butler play, that crazy catch by Seattle, right? Where you're like, oh my God, how could this happen? How could this happen? The ball's bounced. And it was Butler on that coverage, by the way.
Yeah.
Who didn't come up with it and da-da-da-da-da. And then you're sitting there saying, I can't believe it's going to happen again. They're going to just choke late. You're depressed. And, you know, one of the most underrated plays was the play before the Butler interception. What the run, they did run the ball, and Dante Hightower stuffed Lynch close to the goal line.
God.
Stuffed. But you're like, oh my God, they're going to do it again. They're still going to score. And then you had the Butler interception, and I tried to stand up on like a completely destroyed ankle. I couldn't, but I'm like trying to get off the couch. I mean, just like the euphoria. I mean, how many times in sports, what like how many moments are there of just sheer euphoria, like unexpected moments of just euphoria? That was one. And the only other one I could think, I mean, just like unexpected out of nowhere moment, was in 2004, Game 7, Yankee Stadium, Johnny Damon, the Grand Slam.
Yep.
That was, oh my God.
Yep.
This is really going to happen at that moment. And that was
I stood up and roared. I was like,
that was screaming, it's done, it's happening, we did it, kind of thing.
Yep.
And other than that, I like the Butler interception is the only thing I can think that was even, you know, those are the two moments.
Yeah.
What about Doug? I'll give you one. Doug Flutie, miracle in Miami.
Hell of a play.
Pass, yeah.
Hail Mary. I mean, you never see, I don't know.
But the Butler play was fascinating because that was literally a Super Bowl winning play. I mean, that was, you know, if you believe in all that, like ESPN, like odds of winning, Seattle had a like 99% chance of winning. And then after that interception, the Patriots had a 90. I mean, there's never been like a bigger
change
flipping of the odds.
No, never. I was so worried. I'm like, not again. We're going to lose 3 Super Bowls in a row. And all of a sudden that my instincts told me interception, and my brain goes, was that an interception? That was an interception. Like all in like 3 seconds, my mind's like, boom, boom, boom. And I was screaming. I almost passed out when Malcolm Butler intercepted that because I was recovering from the flu at the time. And I was like, I was standing up and I was like, ugh.
Oh.
Whatever happened to Butler after They got rid of him.
Nobody knows
Well,
whatever
Yeah,
happened.
it was like
It was
Belichick didn't like
all-
him. He's gone, and we never
and
heard
there's all
about him
kinds
again.
of rumors. But it's crazy is then you had two. So you thought the Seattle was like the biggest crazy game of all time, and then you had Atlanta 2 years later.
Yeah.
Absolutely, statistically impossible, right? What happened in that game?
When they went down 21-3 and off that interception, I just sat back and I was like, I just died inside. And when they were out down, and when they came back, it was just, that's for me. I always say this: Super Bowl 49 is the greatest ending to any Patriots game ever. Super Bowl against the Falcons is the greatest Patriots game ever because it was just so outrageously amazing the way they came back and won that. And
5 late in the third quarter and winning.
yeah,
that's absurd.
once Hightower forced that turnover, I said, okay, there's a chance now to actually win this.
See, for me, it was the Edelman reception, the crazy bouncing catch. Once that happened, like this is fate. I mean, that's
I actually was complaining because Julio had that catch, and I said, why is it every Super Bowl, Tyree, Manningham, Curse, Julio Jones, that the other team always has a great catch? Are we ever going to have an awesome catch all of a sudden 5 minutes later? Someone looked at me and said, well, Mark, you got your wish. Edelman just caught a crazy catch. I'm like, it's about time.
That was insane. And, you had to watch it in slow motion. You're like, oh, my God, he really caught that. I mean, he did. I mean, he sincerely did. But, yeah, for all the complaining about the Patriots, they more good than bad, obviously.
Yeah, probably should have won about 12 Super Bowls is my guess based on the way I look at all those years. But at least they got 6, I say.
Yeah, 6. Look at us.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's the Boston way, right? Complaining about 6.
Yeah, it is. That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Pete Carroll won that Super Bowl, not Malcolm Butler.
Yeah, well, he was hired to win a Super Bowl for the Patriots in the late 90s, and he did.
There you go.
Took him a little extra time.
Like,
right.
He was a good guy.
I don't know why he wouldn't hand the ball off. That was
yeah. Well, thank you guys for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Any final thoughts before we go? I'm Mazza Media. You can follow you on YouTube and Twitter.
Yep, YouTube and Twitter. My next show is going to be Sunday night. I'm thinking 6:00. And Katie, who was previously approached by Yuri Bukake, is going to be one of my guests. And I've also reached out to a very wonderful woman from Canton by email tonight. Hopefully she'll respond and join the show as well. We'll see if we can get her on as well. But hopefully I'll have 2 guests on Sunday. So I'm looking forward to that.
What time is that at?
Probably 6:00. I'm thinking I'll make an announcement probably on Sunday afternoon or morning with a more official time. Yep.
Very good. And so that's Mazza Media on YouTube, and you're also on Twitter, and Mark Bederow at Bederow Law on X, Twitter.
To me, you go back to this juror thing. You're up to 5. I don't know what the judge is going to do on Monday, but you almost start to scratch your head and say, it doesn't matter. The defense has made its point. And, on the one hand, these counts ought to be dismissed potentially because of what is being said by these jurors. But even if it's not, if there is going to be a retrial, everybody knows what's going on. And at this point, it's kind of understood that there's a reason to believe that Karen Reed was acquitted on all these counts, right? And the people that are watching the news are potential jurors on trial too. And can you imagine if they try her for these same counts because the judge allows them to, and the potential jurors in voir dire, like, I thought she was acquitted on that, because that's, everybody knows that. So, don't underestimate what these defense lawyers are doing. They are trying to get these charges dismissed, obviously, but even if they don't, they're winning the battle of public opinion. They're winning the battle of, if there's going to be a round 2. And I really think these lawyers are playing chess to the DA's checkers. I really do. And I love what they're doing.
Excellent. We'll see what happens on Monday. Hopefully it ends up that they bring these jurors back.
We'll see. I don't think she will,
So.
but she should. If you care about justice and you care about, constitutional rights on big issues like not being tried twice for the same crime, why wouldn't you at least flesh this out? I guess we're going to find out.
We're going to find out on Monday.
Yep.
And if she doesn't, I hope the jurors start like speaking out more.
Yeah.
I think they will. I really do. I mean, would you want that on your conscience if you think you acquitted someone and then everybody says we're not going to listen to you and she gets tried again?
Right.
I'd speak out, but we'll have to wait and see.
Absolutely.
We shall. All right, gentlemen. Thank you so much. We'll check in maybe on Monday, hopefully.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it, guys.
Have a
Free
great
Karen
weekend.
Reed. All right.
Free
thank you.
Karen Reed.
Yeah.
Have a great night, everyone. I'm going to check
Sure.
out too. Thank you so much, Attorney Mark Bederow. And I want to thank also Mazza Media for being here tonight. And thank you for our moderators for modding our chat tonight. And I want to thank everyone who's been super chatting us as well. Dogs are doing good. We made it. We survived it. We'll see everyone soon. I'm not sure when. I might do a show on Sunday. I'm not sure. Maybe Monday. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Check out Mazza, though. Mazza said he's going to do a show Sunday at 6. Check him out. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great night.